Okay, hello and welcome back. I had a bit of a problem. This is underneath my factory again in my processing area. Rake was sending me way more tin than I could actually process, and it basically clogged up my system. My major feed buffer into my pulverizers is getting full up. This box here, where everything gets exported to, still kind of full up. I've got some recipe queued here which needs Certus quartz, and it's not getting done because basically all the pulverizer filled up with tin ore. And Rake's sending me tin ore faster than they're pulverizing, so I added another 6 pulverizers. These are fully upgraded ones, resonant with the maximum speed upgrades. And now it's slowly using up his tin faster than he's sending it to me, but I think I probably need. Well, I want to fill this out. So there's what I've got 8 pulverizers across the top and 6 down here. So I'm gonna need another 3 there, 4. So I have 4 more pulverizers, and then I'm gonna have to make enough redstone furnaces to match up, and hopefully that will mean I'm processing ore as fast as physically possible. Well, not I mean, I could just keep on adding more and more and more of them, but eventually it will clear the backlog, and hopefully my requested recipes will get done. I've got 15 hardened pulverizers here. I need to upgrade those to reinforced. Now I've got a bit of a problem here because I don't think that works. I need the signalum gears, and I don't know if I've got the signalum. This is where the problem happens because I need signalum blend. Okay, so I need a bunch of destabilized redstone. Let's get some. And I have to sort of do this semi-manually. Because I don't have my magma crucibles, and basically to melt the redstone and then get it into the buckets, I need a magma crucible and a fluid transposer, and those I'm afraid are still back at my old base. I'm going to have to do this kind of semi-manually for the time being. Just grab a whole bunch of buckets. I think it takes 10 to fill a bucket. So at 27, 270. So a few more redstone. So that's 6. That's 128. 196 should be enough. Probably got a few more than I need to have there, but I can just dump the excess into a drum once I've done melting it all down and bucketing it up. Might not be able to make it immediately. It probably needs to be made part of a recipe, because I can imagine as soon as I try pulverize, well, I ain't going to be able to pulverize, and that's kind of the annoying thing. Because now Rake's filled up my system. It isn't pulverizing anything for a while. Okay, so the buckets are going through. It's good. Now I've got a drum over here for destabilized redstone. Let's pick that chap up, because I need somewhere to put the excess redstone, because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be making more. Actually, buckets are starting to run out and it's still going. Stack up. Hello? Oh, in fact, I didn't have enough. Okay, in fact, that's not too bad. I've got a tiny bit of destabilized redstone left. Nice thing is that I can just drop a drum in here and it will siphon off the excess so that now I can use that for some other process. But I need to move that stuff up to my factory, ideally. And it needs to be integrated into a whole bunch of automatic crafting. I think what I'll do is I'll probably do something fairly similar to what I've done with the pulverizers and all the other gear, where I actually have like a dozen sort of 10 pulverizers, sorry, and 10 magma crucibles, so I can just go do that thing. It's made in a few seconds. But this will keep me going for the time being. I just really need to get that backlog cleared, and I need to make that resonant and signalum rather. Now hopefully, the problem here is I can't. If I just ask for the pulverized materials, the way I've got my system designed, as soon as something gets pulverized, it's going to be exported to a furnace so that it can be made into ingots. But if we make it part of a recipe, then it should know how to do it. So this way, and it will kind of reserve the items so they never get sent out to the furnaces. Sounds a bit sort of like convoluted, and indeed it is. So if I go like that, yes. Make sure that I've got my ORDICT substitutions turned on. So it will take any type of copper or it will take any type of silver dust to make the signalum blend. Now this is where my problem was. I've got a bunch of patterns queued up to be made. They need pulverized Certus quartz or Certus quartz dust. And the problem is my system is busy waiting for this to all clear down before it can make the Certus quartz dust. Now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to hijack one of these pulverizers here and just drop those things in there. Do it with a bunch of them. Because the thing is they're all filled up with tin ore at the moment, which is no good at all. I can chuck the tin ore back into my pouch, and hopefully that will come back out. Well, not hopefully, no, it will come back out and get treated correctly. And now if I go and look in my crafting queue, looks like it's made all the patterns. Carry on. Yeah, there we go. 60 patterns. Should keep me going for a while. I'll put that in there. And that's telling my system now how to make the pulverize, how to make signalum blend. So I'll put that in there, and now I can actually order up signalum blend, hopefully. Yeah, there we go. But I don't want signalum blend. That's pretty useless. What I want is the ingots, and it doesn't know how to make those at the moment. So just 2 I had spare left over. So I need to make a process recipe, which I click on there for. Clear that out. And let's craft a few signalum blend. Hope that works. Reason why it doesn't. Sig. No, it's made one. Right, so if I get one of those and tell it that if I have one of those, I can make one of those. It doesn't know what's happening. It doesn't know how that happens. As far as the system's concerned, it exports signalum blend, it gets the signalum ingot. So I take that, and then if I go to my furnaces and I stick that into here, so that says export signalum dust into this, and then that gets pulled into my furnaces and gets turned into the ingots. So now if I order up a bunch of signalum ingots instead, I take those out, you'll see that I can now craft signalum ingots. So I can say let's get 100 of those. It tells me I have no silver dust. Okay, I'm not going to fix that for the time being because I only need a few. There we go, I can make 20 straight off the bat. But basically what I need to do then is to go on one of these interfaces here or this one down here and say this is how you make silver dust using pulverizers, but since all the pulverizers are busy at the moment, I'm not going to bother with that. I only need a few signaling dots. The reason I'm using the old chests is because you can hook up a whole bunch of different interfaces onto all the different sides. I'll probably go underneath them and on the ends as well to get more interfaces on them, which is why I use these here for this particular purpose, that rather than say one of the iron chests. Because the iron chest only has 6 sides you can attach to, whereas a extended Minecraft chest will take 10. Yeah, 10. Right, so now hopefully, if everything has worked out, I now have some signalum. Oh, okay, it's probably made the blend. It's probably waiting for a space. Yeah, you see, it's made the blend. Now it's waiting for a space for the ingots. So probably the best thing to do is take some of that out. There you go. And that's not going to get processed until all of these furnaces are empty. So I'll just hijack a furnace, stick that in there, and then I can put all this dust back in again, and that will get processed when there's actually space for it to be processed, which there isn't at the moment because they're busy. So I need to build a whole bunch of these here as well because they're just not keeping up. Let's finish off making these resin pulverizers that are good enough to keep up. I needed 4. I've got no iron. So again, I will say just quickly craft a few iron ingots, make a recipe, tells it. Now this is a crafting recipe, so I'll click that off so it actually uses my crafting things over there. I'll make the template for the recipe just manually. So now my system knows how to make signalum gears. Find a slot to put it into my molecular assemblers. There. Might even actually be able to say make one of those. Signalum ingots come through yet. Yep, there's 20 of those. So if I go craft one of those, right, and I go back in here, I can go to the reinforced pulverizer and say that's how you make it. There's some slight wiggles in here. It sometimes doesn't recognize the items you've got. Hang on a second. Are these? They're hardened already. Okay. Because basically, when you make the what I'm aiming to make is the resonance pulverizer. Yeah. Because these are the most upgradable versions of the pulverizer, and they also store the most power. Thing is, before you can make that, you basically have to go through all of the previous ones. So you have to make a basic one. You take a basic one, which goes in there and makes the hardened one with the materials. And you take a hardened one, you put it in here, and then you get a reinforced one. And then finally you take a reinforced one and you add the enduring gear and silver ingots, and you get the resonant one. And the resonant ones are the ones I want because they can take the most upgrades. Okay, so let's take that there and make a recipe for making the harden, making the whatever it was, I don't know, slightly harder one. And we'll stick this in here. So now we know how to make a reinforced pulverizer. Now, hopefully, if I stick those hardened ones in there and go reinforced, and I ask for 4 of these, it should now be able to make them. Yeah, it's not complaining. If any of these are red, it means it just hasn't got the materials and it doesn't know how to make the materials. But I've got all the materials, so I can go start, and now we've got 4 reinforced pulverizers. Now, if I clear that down and I go to the recipe for the best one, the resonant one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this straight off the bat. Okay, so I need the pulverizers that I made just then. I'll take one of those, that into the recipe in the middle. I need a silver ingot, which I don't have any of because they're all automatically blocked, so I'll take a little handful of those, stick that in the appropriate place. Now the sticky bit here is the resonant gear or cog, whatever it's called, Enderium gear. Okay, now I've got hit the same problem as I had with the Signalum. I don't actually have enough Enderium ingots to do that, so, and it doesn't know how to make them. Okay, so I've done a bit of a poopsie here. Let's make the recipe for telling it how to make the Enderium gears. I need those in a minute, but I'm going to have to tell my system how to make Enderium in the first place. Now, Enderium is kind of tricky to make. Super hard, but it's similar to the Signalum. I need to melt some stuff into buckets first. So let's go grab some buckets. In fact, I can make some more Signalum stuff, so let's do that, because I need to free those buckets up. Oh no, that's Ardite. Signalum. So I had 20 buckets approximately, so let's do that. And we have no silver dust. Okay, so we need to tell it how to make silver dust. Let's get some silver dust and let's grab some of those. Single silver ingot. And again, this is going to be a process, so we need to switch that over, clear the grid. Silver dust is made by pulverizing silver ingots, and that is a process, so it needs to go downstairs to the pulverizing system, and it's the interface there, so we go and plonk that in there. Hopefully it knows how to make silver. We're actually getting to the bottom of doing all that, so I'm going to probably have to order some up, but it's not going to be able to make it immediately. Let's whip that out of there. Let's get it to make, I don't know, 30. So it knows it needs blocks of silver, turn those into ingots, then pulverize them into silver dust. So let's start that job off. And hopefully if I go downstairs and just make some space in here. Here comes the silver. It's 30 silver. And we're going to hijack this pulverizer temporarily. Just get it to do that. Now hopefully it's not going to try and refine that straight away. Maybe it is. In which case we need to go. Yeah, there we go. So we've got our silver dust. Right. Let's follow the recipe through again. So Enderium needs Enderium blend. Oh no, sorry, we're on the Signalum, weren't we? Okay. So silly me. So what do we make? We want to make 20 of those. Right, now it knows how to make the silver dust, but that's no good because the system is tied up. Let's just plonk the silver in here and then do it. Should work this time. Materials. So that sent that off to be made, and hopefully now the buckets are being freed up to get used to make that. It's trying to craft more silver dust for some reason. Right, so it looks like it grabbed the silver ingots and immediately made them into. Come on, free this up. This is the problem. Until that all of the tin's been processed, I'm really going to have some problems trying to make anything at all. Let's see how much tin ore that we got left. So it's made 17k of tin ore. It's sitting on waiting for the furnaces to go through, but it looks like it's almost cleared down the tin ore. We had like what 7,000, almost 8,000 when we began the session, but now we're down to 1,600. Is slowly going down as fast as I'd like. Anyway, we've got a few buckets. Okay, well, I might even have to make some more buckets, to be honest with you. It's just not. What's it waiting on? It is waiting on the silver dust to be created. Or is it not recognizing that they use any type of silver dust at all? I wonder. That's what the problem is. It's not the silver dust I'm making. I'm making this stuff here, which is from thermal foundation, but the recipe thinks that it needs the other silver dust. So I need to redo this recipe then, because that's no. It's a crafting recipe. Signal. Blend. Yeah, see, I can use any type of dust in here, silver dust, but for some reason it's just not recognizing. Even though I've got it to use any kind of silver dust that it finds, it's just not using it. I think I might have a similar problem with the copper dust as well. Okay, well, let's try and rewrite this recipe, and we do that by putting the recipe we already have into the bottom slot and then just clicking on there, and that will rewrite it again. Hopefully that will fix it. It's a bit of a problem with a lot of these bigger mod packs where they've got like 5 different types of particular ore or something like that. Trying to get it to recognize just the right one sometimes is a bit tricky. Like, for instance, making steel nuggets has to be done with the railcraft version of steel, which can cause significant problems with some recipes, like trying to automate the crafting of the solar panels, for instance, that I'm using. Tends to screw that up. Right, anyway, let's see if this works now. Am I still trying to craft those? Yeah, so let's cancel that. Oh, does it need a bucket? Let's cancel that as well. It seems thoroughly confused about what it's trying to do, because I've been changing the recipe. Okay, so we've got 20 signal and blend. I think probably the easiest thing to do is just jam that into a furnace until we've got the appropriate equipment to actually make it. Just dump that in there. This thing is probably dust, so let's just chuck all this old dust in. Now you can slowly clear it down. It's just a little bit on the fiddly side, really, but you have to understand how the processes work and where the sticking points are to actually make them work correctly. And now I should have a bunch of signalum. Excellent. And I can't remember what I was. Right, so I wanted to make. I'm kind of torn now. I've done quite a lot of clearing my backlog with the pulverizers. What I'm going to do, I think, actually, is I'm going to focus on making the redstone furnaces that I need. And I probably need. Well, I want to have how many? How many indeed? I think I'm going to do the same as I did on here, and I'll put an additional row of redstone furnaces underneath. So these rows are 8 long, so I'm missing 3. Yeah, so I need 3 and another 8. So that makes, I need 11 redstone furnaces. So let's get on doing that then. I'll learn to spell it properly. Where are they? Redstone health pad, redstone charge pad. Where are the furnaces? fur. Okay. Let's just make sure I don't actually have a bunch of them ready made. Sometimes I do that kind of thing. Okay, no, so this is the recipe we need. Most of that stuff we know how to craft already. So let's plonk that in there and see what we're missing. Okay, so it's copper gears, which I know how to make. So let's make a couple of copper gears to finish the recipe. Because we have to have at least one example of each to actually fill out the recipe. So there's one in there, go like that. There we go, the recipe is complete and it now knows how to make basic redstone furnaces. I'll plonk that into my recipe system. I throw these about pretty much randomly. The problem is if I have like all of the stuff for building a resonant redstone furnace along here, it will get stuck on each stage. But if you throw them into different ones, which basically equates to a different one of these molecular crafters, it can build multiple stages at the same time. So let's say redstone and just make one of those. I'm going to use that for the example in the next step of the recipe. So we go in here, step onwards, and let's see. Okay, so everything but the redstone furnace. Now, see, that's the problem. I have one in my system, but it didn't insert it into the recipe, so I need to just manually grab that, plonk that into the recipe. Now it knows how to make hardened redstone furnaces. So now take that recipe and drop that in a different line to the other furnace, so it doesn't conflict when it's making them. Now we ask it to make that next tier up. Where is it? A hardened one. Next. Second, it should turn up here. Now it may be waiting for something to come through, but it looks like pretty much all of the other crafting jobs have been done. Why is this not here? Oh, that's the basic. I made it immediately. Okay, nice. So the next step is a reinforced, and that worked. Now we just need a signalum gear example to finish it off. Done and done. So we put that in there, and now we can automatically make reinforced ones. Stick this in here. Then we're going to come up against the problem that I have with the pulverizer as well, which is I don't have the endurium being automatically. I can make the gear automatic. It's the ingots that I can't automatically. Let's just drill down into the recipe then. Oops. See what's required for making endurium gears. I need these, but I need blend. That's made like that, which needs resonant ender buckets and an interesting form of silver. Now I'm going to wait until there. If you hold down shift, it stops the recipe from cycling through all the different types it needs. Now, is this going to be close enough? Pulverized tin. We've got a whole bunch of that, so let's just grab some of that. And stick that in the appropriate place. Oops, I just put that on the floor. There's probably an easier way of going through this, but I just want a recipe there whilst I'm doing it, so that I have to get back. So I've probably got a bunch of that. Silver. Okay, so it's tin, silver, shiny. Tin, some silver. Need from previous thing, and some shiny, which I have an absolute ton of because that's a byproduct from another process. That in the recipe, that in the recipe. The only thing I don't have are buckets full of resonant ender. Hopefully now my buckets are freed up. Oh, let's just take what we've got. So that's 16. Yeah, I'll make some more signalum. Hopefully this will use the buckets up. You can spell it right. Well, let's use some of them up anyway. 16 takes 4 ender eyes to fill up. Sorry, ender pearls to fill those up. So if we take 4 stacks of those, get rid of that. We don't need that. And head off back to the old base. Should be able to make those without too much aggravation. Like I said, I will automate the bucket making mechanic, but it's just a bit. I've got to move this stuff up, build some interfaces and stuff. So I just want to concentrate on handling all of the crazy stuff that Rake is sending to me. Basically, at the moment, I just can't. It's not accepting the chest. Should be in here. Because at the moment, Rake is just overwhelming my system, so I need to have some way of that. There we go. In the resonant ender. Hopefully, if my maths were good enough, we won't have any left over when we finish making all the buckets of resonant ender. There we go. So back. See? I am flying here. I've got the F5. Yeah, as you can see, I have the draconium set on, which allows me to fly. Hello, this is me. Right, so if I grab myself a bucket, that should be some of what I need here. Excellent. Let's just take one. And finally, that recipe is complete. So we take that, stick it in there. Well, it's not complete because we didn't tell it that finally when you do have the Endurium blend, you then need, which I think I already have the recipe for this. If I go to, pretty sure I told it there's a, okay, so this needs one more process. So I've got the Endurium blends being made. What I need to do is get some pyrothrium and the blend. So that's, can't remember what the math was for this. Let's go and have a look. So to make 2 ingots, I need 1 pyrothrium and 2 endurium. So pyrothrium, 1 of, endurium blend. I have, alright, so I need 2 of those. And this is a process recipe, so it's going to be using an external machine. Set that there, that there. And now if I click once and then again, it will tell me I make 2 using right click. Okay, because that makes 2 of these, it doesn't make 1. So now we have our process recipe, and that is made in the induction smelter, which I have a whole bunch of them here. Now this is where it gets a bit interesting. Each of these induction smelters only makes a couple of different recipes. They don't get backed up if other stuff is being made too much. So what I'm going to do is pick the one that has the least recipes in it and stick it there. Okay, so now I should be able to order up a endurium ingot. Let's get rid of that one there and just hold it for a second. That should work. Let's do 2 because I always make, there's a minimum of 2, so it's not complaining. Alright, we know how to turn blaze rods into blaze powder. That uses a pulverizer, so I'm probably going to have to go downstairs and hijack a pulverizer. I have a bunch of sulfur. I know how to make redstone dust from redstone blocks, which is how I store my redstone. So let's just start that off. Now, what I'd imagine has happened down here is that this is still... Oh no, right, okay. We actually have got to the point where it's cleared down most of it and it's now processing iron, which is good. But there's a blaze rod there waiting to be turned into blaze powder. Let's just jam that in there, because otherwise we'll have to wait for everything to clear down. Throw the tin all back in there, and hopefully, right, the crafting. There's always going to be some sand crafting in my system, by the way. I use it as a flux, so it continuously produces it. But it looks like it's made the endurium. Yep, there we go. Nice. So we should be able to ask for it to craft these and it shouldn't complain. There we go, none of it's red. Excellent. Phew-wee! That was something else. So we now can make the redstone furnace up to the point we need, which is the reinforced one. We have we've got a hardened there. So let's tell it we want a is it reinforced is the top step? Yeah, so we need one reinforced, we need all this other stuff as well, the silver and the enduring gear. So let's ask for one reinforced thing. It's not complaining, so it should be able to make that. It's made a reinforced one, nice. And then we're going to ask it to make an enduring gear, because we need one of those. And yes, I know I can swap between craftable and stored objects in the MEs thing. I just like to keep them set to one or the other. And then just grab some, we got some silver, so it should be able to make the recipe for it now. Go shift click, ta-da! So it's a crafting pattern. So hopefully now, if I go like that and that, we can make redstone resonant furnaces from nothing at, well, not nothing at all, but using the materials that we have. So shall we try that out? Furnace. Okay, so we've got basic to hardened to reinforced to resonant. It's not complaining about any of the materials. So this is all the stuff that I need to do. All of my metals are stored in blocks. So I need to grab a block of each, unblock to turn it back into ingots to make the gears, to make the machine frame, excuse me, and everything else. We need 11, but let's just make one to go off with. Right, so it's probably stuck on the endurium ingots because, again, the pulverizers are busy. Where is it? Let's check the crafting. Oh, I think it might have made it. Furnace. Yep, there's a resonant furnace. Excellent. And we will just immediately plonk this into this production line here. I want to see how these are set up because I can't remember. So they could take their input through the bottom and output. Orange is output, blue is input. That goes out the back, which is that panel there. So if I stick here, this guy here, go in and let's just get rid of all of those. In fact, by default, it's working on those sides. And then we just need to configure the conduits to insert in the brown channel. Hang on a second. I'm confused. That says output on back, so how come these are... Oh, yeah, they're actually pointing... So that's actually an extraction on the brown channel. And we want it to always extract whatever it finds in there. So that now will put... basically takes stuff out of all of these furnaces, puts it into this conduit here, which goes into the chest and then takes it back into the system. And then finally, oh, if I can get down here, I've got auto step on my suit, so it tends to be a bit to get into holes. So I just need to insert the raw materials in bottom like that. On there, yeah, that pulverized gold is now going in there. And that's super. I don't want to use this one. So let's go and make the remaining, what was it, 10 furnaces. Hopefully that'll work. There's a good chance it will get stuck with all the other stuff that's going on. Resonant 10 of those. Right, it thinks it can make all of them. I'm pretty sure it's going to get stuck at some point. Let's just start it off and see how far it gets before it gets stuck. You can watch all the crafting happening here in this screen. It should be fine until it either hits the signalum or anything that needs to be pulverized, because yeah, can you see the blaze rods need to be pulverized, so anything that needs to go through the pulverizers is going to have a hard time because they're currently chocker with a bunch of iron ore processing at the moment. But if I go and whip out some of the iron ore and hijack some of the pulverizers, I can kind of step to the head of the queue. Hopefully, yeah, there's the blaze rods that we wanted, and those blocks of quartz we also needed. And it's cleared it down pretty good. At the beginning of the stream you wouldn't saw that they were completely full up. Just go and stick that in there, and then we'll do the same with the quartz, and hopefully the crafting will continue. We'll stick those back in that chest, go into the crafting status and see how far it's got. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think it's going to get stuck on the endurium ingots because, yeah, I need to manually use the whole bucket thing. It might get, I know what was it? I had 15 buckets of endurium left, so it might be able to make all of those without problem. I'll just keep an eye on that and see if it clears down. It's looking good. Yep. Okay, so it should be able to make the rest of everything. Is it stuck on that? It's got those. I think the problem is the signalum be stuck in here. Yeah, there we go. See, because there was all this old other pulverized stuff in here, it had to wait for it to clear down. So I've got the same problem with the pulverizer are clear, but the furnaces are now backed up as well. But as I produce more of these furnaces and add them to the production line, let's get rid of all this stuff we don't need. That will actually help, because that means some of the things that are required for the craft are already available. Oh, it looks like it's made all the furnaces without. That was a lot less problem than I thought it would be. So now we have 10 resonant redstone furnaces. Now they're good, but they're not upgraded, so they won't be working at max power. I need to do one more step. I'm just going to put all these in. Hopefully I can get this right this time. Blue and then orange. Guys in here and configure them up. So nothing goes in or out of the sides. Hello. Getting a bit of lag here. Let's just click slower. Oh, there's definitely something a bit laggy. It might be the server backing up or something like that. Okay, so they should be correctly configured. And then I just need to make sure that I'm extracting on brown. I'm extracting all the time. Yeah, sorry about this, it is laggy. It's probably because I am adding stuff to the systems. Alright, and I need to be inserting underneath to actually access conduits easily. Yeah, there we go. Just need to be trying to insert, insert, and hopefully these two now are filling up with materials. Processing. Good. And then again the same underneath. Just need to fill this out basically. A whole bunch of furnaces here. Actually, I seem to have got one extra. Quite correct. Right, so they're outputting through the top this time. That should be orange. Nothing is happening via the sides. And they're taking stuff in through the back. Okay, that should be set to an. That should be an extract on brown. In fact, all of these are extract on brown. And always active. Let's go along and do all those at the same time. No, I haven't missed one. Always active, brown, brown, is active, always active, brown, brown, active, brown, is active, brown, is active. Okay, it's always going to be taking stuff out. Let's just clean up this floor to get underneath these ones. I need to go around the other side of them. They have power. Okay, that's good. So now I just need to make sure that they are getting stuff inserted into the back. They all just insert on green, so if I just click, oh, that one's set up. So it's inserting on the back and it's extracting out of the top. Yes. So I need to do this. So orange at the top, blue at the back. Very laggy. I'm not sure if it's because I'm making big configuration changes to everything. Something stream. One, you should be taking stuff in now. Did I get that right? Have I've missed something? Oh, right, yeah, I've not changed the flange, which must be on insert. There we go. So let's do this one. Insert on the back. Luckily, I know how many times to click these things to make it to the right setting. Okay, so that's going nicely. I just need to go along now and adjust all of these. First one, two, insert. But remember, check and double check again, or else stuff just goes missing and disappears. So now it ain't super fast. We can make them go faster with some augments, which I will probably make in a bit, but I have to have my pulverizers cleared down to be able to do that. As some of the materials for the pulverizer I think so. Why are we taking stuff? Oh, I've not told it to insert on the flange. Almost there. Isn't helped by weird lag I'm getting here. Not on my end. My computer is very happy. It says it's having a good time. Could be the server. those. Just very carefully and methodically go through and change these correctly. Ooh, thing, nothing, thing, orange. Okay, that's good. There's 2 more to go. Insert. No inputs or outputs there, none there. That needs to go to blue. And that needs to go to orange. Got our final one here. So now we've got a really industrial grade refining system with a whole bunch of things. Looks like it's doing its own thing. Okay, hopefully that means this chest will start emptying out a lot faster. What's this? This is pulverized tin. I can actually look in my ME storage here and have a look for pulverized tin. 33,000, so that's not bad. Since the beginning of the stream, we processed 33,000 of these tin, and it is going down. Not super fast. It'll take an hour to get it down to 0, but it is going down. Maybe. Right, this might be where the augments come in, and it's kind of holding its own. Sort of bouncing around at around 450. I just saw 420 come up there. So yeah, it is working slightly faster than the amount of tin that's being produced, or other tin, pulverized tin. So hopefully I've cleared out, and I can keep up with the amount of tin that Rake is sending me now. I've certainly out pulverized it. I've turned it all into this pulverized tin. He's also sending me like iron and silver and stuff, so I need to wait for those to clear down as well, but it will keep on working overnight. This is the whole point of a production line. It may not be quite as fast as maybe doing some stuff manually, especially on the direct crafting front, but the fact is it carries on when I'm asleep, which definitely is a big bonus. So I guess the next thing I need to do is I need to produce some speed augments for the new ones that I've put in. You go into the augmentation, I need a whole bunch of these things here. So if I hold down shift, you can see double speed, quadruple speed, octuple speed. So I need to make, it was 11 of each of those to bring all of my furnaces up to speed. And luckily, you don't have to watch me set up the crafting for that, because I already have them set up. So I can hopefully just go, I need 11 of those. I need 11 of those. And 11 of those. And there's nothing holding them up either. Apparently I have all the materials for them, which is super nice. And I can immediately speed up the new furnaces using them. The important thing about these is you need to make sure that you've got the previous level. You can't just say take the octuple speed ones and stick those in. You have to have the double speed and the double speed and the quadruple speed ones before that one will have effect. You can put it in the interface, but it will do nothing. Okay, but now you can see, look, it's really speeding through. See one that hasn't been modified going quite slowly. That's double speed. That's quadruple speed. That's octuple speed. Just need to go around the back and do that with all. This one's not configured correctly. Just need to go. Augmentation. Silver. gold, turquoise. And given a few minutes, these little guys should hopefully catch up with the incoming materials. You can also, if you're doing like a fixed setup like this with the conduit specifically, you can take these two out. And the redstone circuit really doesn't have a lot of uses. It just allows you to turn the machine on and off using levers. And this one here allows the machine to push stuff out itself. Now, if you're using things like chests with the machines, then yes, you need the integrated servo mechanism. If you're using conduits, they deal with all the kind of input and output pushing and pulling into the machine, so you don't need them. In fact, what I've done with these guys here is I've replaced both of those with these other things here. What is it? So I've speeded them up just using the first two tiers of the speed up mods, but I've also put these in here. So as you can see, the original augments that were in there have been taken out, and all I've been left with is the one that allows me to configure which side the machine inputs and outputs from. Again, with these ones here, you have to have them stacked, so you have to have a silver one, a gold one, then the turquoise one. You can't just go straight for the turquoise one. But hopefully, all the chatting and fiddling around with things, it seems the lag's gone, which is nice. I think quite a lot of that is when I reconfigure systems by putting in a lot of new stuff. It takes a little while for the ME system to reconfigure itself and understand how things have been changed. Especially, you'll see that that's lag with these really big systems. Did I make too many augments, or have I missed one of my machines out? So that's got augments. Augments. So, one of these machines is not did. Is it? Maybe I just made too many. I thought I needed 11, but my maths ain't perfect. Aha. There we go. And now, hopefully, this chest should actually start having visible signs of clearing down. Yeah, you can see it's sort of getting to a lower number now. You just have to sort of sit and wait for it to go through, really. Bit of patience. Well, we've already processed 3,000 tin in the time that I've been talking, so it shows that it's fairly effective. Yeah, look at it rocket through all that pulverized tin now. And once that's done, it will get started on, I guess. I'm not sure which one it was on to next after that. That's being held back. Oh, right, it's cleared down everything, so now it's processing at least as fast. Certainly on the pulverizing as any of the materials are coming in. Let's just chuck these in here because I needed some flint. I was held back by the fact that the system was backed up. So that's looking pretty good, I think, now. I think this is definitely going to take a little shot. But hopefully, if we go over to Rake's place now, we should see. And the thing is, I'm blocking the tin automatically, or turning it into blocks. So if I go to tin blocks, yeah, all that's gone through. I do want to go and check back at the place where the blocks are being made that something horrible hasn't happened. They aren't all landing on the floor. I'm using the Buildcraft pipes. They have a limited capacity, and sometimes when things go wrong, they will have a tendency of just chucking stuff on the ground. But no, we can see there's a whole load of tin. Look at that go through. A little bit backed up. But because I put this loop here, that kind of holds the tin until it's ready to deal with it. And even though this is saying continuously 64, it is actually pumping it out pretty fast. Go into there. You can see, look, it's taking like 24 at a time. I can probably speed that up some. I've got some speed upgrades, I think, in my tool bag. Or not, as the case may be. Okay, let me go back and get some of those speed upgrades, which will make that conduit extract from the unifier. What the unifier does is, I need tin in a particular form. I need it in the railcraft form of ingots to be able to block them up fast. But when they've been processed, they're coming out as Tinker's construct. Look, there we go. We've got some speed upgrades there. So they have to go through the unifier. Now what the unifier does is you can configure it to turn certain types of ingot into another type of ingot. So if you're making if you're making, as I am, let's go out there and actually see it. Hello. Yeah, we definitely got some lag issues. I should be popping up later. There we go. Right. As you can see, the ingots are those blue. The tin ingots are going in as those blue ones, but I need them as these white ones here, the railcraft ones, because this is a railcraft box here. You can see it's turning them to blocks of tin. I have to have like a whole bunch of them because it's quite slow. In fact, this one has actually got to the point where it's stuck and can't process them fast enough, which is a bit worrying. This one keep up? No, so in fact only one of them is actually keeping up with the whole system. I think what I might do is plonk them back in there, speed up the output from the unifier. Try to when I get an angle on it. So that should hopefully be pumping in them practically a stack at a time. There we go. Because there was a whole bunch of stuff building up in here. We got some copper flying around in there and some lead. Just want those to be processed as fast as possible. What I do have a problem with is these metal chests are not super fast. Yeah, you see it's making the blocks of tin, but the tin's coming in faster than it can cope with it. Not quite sure what to do about that. Because obviously I need to take the stuff out. The blocks out. It takes a second or so for it to make each block, which isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. So eventually they get to the point where there's no free slot left to make tin blocks with. You can see I'm making thousands of tin at the moment. Not ideal. I'd already expanded the metal chests. Like I started off with just one, and I went up to 3. They just really can't keep up with the job. My other option is to use what I've got over here, which is these cyclic assemblers, which I use for doing a similar job. See, here's one that makes blocks of ferrous. And this is significantly faster than these. The nice thing about the metal chests is you don't really have to configure them in any way. You just shovel the metal in there and they'll turn nuggets into ingots and ingots into blocks without you having to think about it. Yeah, see, now here's the problem. We've got materials being pumped out onto the floor because there's no space for them in the pipes anymore. I wish there was some way of kind of like locking one of these so that it always kept space free for the things that you were, the blocks that you were making. Oh, this is going to get bad in a minute if I can't keep up with it. I mean, I might be tempted just to turn these, you can get a slow down modifier. Let's just turn these off for a second. These, so that whatever is in there stays in there. Sounds a bit crazy, but once there's one block of tin being made, come on. Oh, right. Yeah, there we go. Boom. And that's what happens when a pipe gets overloaded. Okay, I think what I need to do is I need to get some slowdown modifiers for these conduits. Sounds weird, but yeah, you need to keep at least one slot free. Not free, but set up for... Oops, no, I don't want that. If I stick them back in here, though, they'll actually go into my system before. It's not terrible because we're producing so much material that I can actually live with stuff just dying on the floor. Let's go back to my base. And I'm actually going to slow down those, make a conduit slow down so it doesn't extract so fast, which hopefully means that there will be at least one block of tin always in there. I guess they're called a downgrade. Yeah, here we go. And this will actually stop stuff being exported quite so fast. What else do I need in there? Let's clear that down. That. Just throw these back in here for the time being. Take those. 1, 3. Okay. Which will then hopefully make sure that there's always at least one block of tin in there, which means that more blocks of tin can join it, and there will always be a space for blocks of tin to be made. Let's go do that, slow that down, do the same with the others. Kind of counterintuitive that you should have to slow it down. Presume that you'd always want production to go as fast as possible and movement of items to go as fast as possible. Sometimes that just isn't the case. Come on. Just make one block of tin. Come on. Okay, I might have to handcraft some of these. Oh wow, this is doesn't like that at all. Okay. Like I said, I ain't terribly worried because we have so much production that using some of it, big deal. I can get some from, yes, tin. Just take a whole stack of those back. There probably is a better way of dealing with this. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head how I would. That in there, take out a few of them. There you go. So it's always slightly behind, which is kind of what we... Let's just throw those back in there again. It's not perfect, but it means that at least there's always a spot for the tin blocks to be produced. And we'll do the same with this one. Same with that one there. I'm going to leave that like this because it's actually better to have that stuff just bouncing about inside the tube. Well, I suppose at some point that's going to fill up too. Hopefully the numbers are... Yeah, you see, I'm getting through them. The weird thing about the metal chests is kind of like once they've decided to make something... Oh, look, see, it's already eaten them all. Did I not put a slowdown on there? I thought I did. See, because I'd rather have it like that. Like this with no tin blocks at all. Yeah, basically once it gets to a point where it's gone, oh right, I've got to make tin blocks, it kind of latches onto that and that actually makes them faster. There we go. That's kind of making them as fast as they're being taken out. This one here, it's kind of taking them out faster than needs to. I'm not entirely happy about that. I can see that going empty in a second, being replaced by ingots. Which is kind of a pain. I'm definitely going to have to come up with a better solution. The thing is, it's only because I'm clearing down a backlog that this is happening. Normally there would not be so much of this stuff backed up. Why aren't you making... Come on, make tin, make tin. Come on, make tin faster. I just can't keep up, can it? It's kind of annoying. I'm going to have another explosion in a second. Oh no, it's even worse than that. It's just... Oh. Just going to have to chuck some of this back in and hope it can kind of deal with it. Oh dear. So, this has all gone horribly, horribly wrong. That one's already emptied out. It's no longer processing. Can't even take a half stack now. Hold on, get 32. And once this chest is cleared down, maybe things will get a bit better. Being very hopeful there, it probably isn't the case that it is better. Oh, lordy. These metal chests just cannot deal with stuff fast enough. It just slowly burns down like that. You'd probably do something like this, where you have like individual stacks of them. It still burns it down. That's one of the problems with the railcraft pipes. I really don't deal with overload very at all. It's like you've got to have almost like half the chest dedicated just to holding example blocks, so that this is truly terrible. Spitting out straight in front. Again, and then it's blocked again. Ah! Okay, it's a really frustrating situation. Okay, let's try something else then. What's not really being heavy production at the moment? Compressed salt, because this is all stuff that I need to... I think what I'm just going to do actually is I'm going to go back and stop the auto blocking export, because basically I've got a thing where it says like if you get like tin blocks, silver blocks, silver ingots, tin ingots and stuff, re-export them and keep on doing it until they've been turned into blocks, which is this here somewhere. One of these silver, that one. Let's get rid of that. Hopefully that will kind of temporarily fix the problem, and at least I can throw everything back in. It will be stored in my ME system. I think I have to use those cyclic assemblers. Metals just really just can't keep up with this quantity. It's a bit sad. And when it's actually kind of like in production, it's not going to be a problem. But whilst we're dealing with this massive backlog of stuff that Rake sent me, it's clearly an issue. Hopefully that's cleared down now. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. Lost a few things. I think when you hit a limit of like 500 items on the floor, they just start disappearing. It's kind of sad. But... Right, let's at least repair what we've got here. I've got some gold pipe just to deal with it, luckily. It doesn't essentially deal with the problem that those chests are now garbage. I wish there was somewhere speeding up metal chests, but there clearly isn't. Just have to be that I just have to hold on to all this stuff until it's... See, it's making the blocks now, but it's still filling up much faster. And now it's full. Start full. Damn it! Oh, God. Let's take you out. Stop this madness! I can't deal with it. It's the trouble with massively automated systems. But I'm kind of inclined to slow this down again. So it hasn't got anything that makes it go fast. Okay. Wowzers. Oh dear. Just keep throwing the tin in there and hope that it doesn't come back again. I know the iron will. It's gone crazy. It's the tin that we've got to get rid of initially, or at least get it stuffed into the ME system. Now I'm just so stuffed on... But I'm going to have to stop I'm going to have to stop everything from exporting through that thing that makes the blocks. Oh dear me, what a palaver. As quick as you can. Right, so what was it? Iron. I've forgotten what else he's sending me. Silver, I think, is the other thing. Right. Hopefully now that is actually going into the ME system. Temporary storage until I can find a better solution. It's those chests. They're just not fast enough at doing the conversion into blocks. They're fine whilst the whole system's like just worrying a little bit, but once you start doing this kind of thing, oh lordy. At least it's not coming out this end anymore. Oh dear. This might just be better just to throw all the tin on the floor at the moment until it starts actually processing it correctly. I'm not even going to ask how those stacks clicked on something. Well, it's almost emptied it, but it's not in the situation I want to be in. That's just going to do the same thing with the iron, isn't it? Sorry if I've gone kind of silent. I just feel totally overwhelmed by the clicking and trying to save some of these materials. It can be done. Or at least get these chests cleared down enough so they can actually do their conversion thing. Get to restack a bit. Oh, it looks like this one might be finally not being overwhelmed. But all of them, right, finally seem to have enough space to do what they're actually supposed to do. It's not pretty, but it's working. Let's just chuck all this stuff into the ME system till such point as we can deal with it. Just making a bunch of cyclic assemblers, however you want to say it, to actually deal with this blocking up as a decent rate. These are basically auto crafters. You give them a recipe and then feed them with material, and yeah, they make whatever they've been told to make. At the moment, I'm making silver ingots. Actually, did I knock that one out from my export thing? I can probably have that turned on because these things easily do that. I can't even see them, the actual end crafting recipe. They get through it so fast compared to these awful things. And they're not awful. They're easy to use and they don't need any kind of real setup. They don't take any power. Okay, it does look like they finally caught up, so we can start chucking some of this stuff back in here. And eventually I will just re-export the ingots that I do have in my system back out here. I'll just rate that these chests can deal with. Okay, it's looking reasonable and tight, cleaned up. Yeah, these chests need to come up with a better way of doing it. It does look like they're clearing down. So yeah, this stack slowly emptying out. Okay, not brilliant, that's for sure. Where are those tin? Seem to be coming in here at all. Is there something else blown up? Just being re-exported somewhere else. I'm not quite sure. Just keep an eye on that. Yeah, this is the thing about mass production. If you can produce hundreds of ingots every second, then you need to be able to deal with hundreds of ingots every second. Whichever is the weakest link in the chain will cause you problems later on down the road. But that seems to be somewhat fixed. Well, not fixed, but it's not about to explode anytime soon. So it should be accepting those tin ingots. I'm not quite sure why they're being. I hope they're just not spinning around time after time after time. Weird that they're not being accepted. Should they be on grey, light grey, or white? Let's take those back out and actually turn them into now. Let's try it. Stop now. Yeah, I think that's silver that's going through now. Okay, that looks like it's somewhat fixed. At least it's not exploding all over the place. And now, as if by magic, the metals chests are somewhat happy. Staying turned in. Okay, I can live with that for the time being. Ways that's caught up with itself. Let's go and have a look at the horror that is in the ME system then. That's holding all the iron in the tin whilst it gets processed. So no doubt that's building up by the 1,000 now. Oh. Right. Tin. It's only 4,000 of it, it's not hideous. That's kind of building up a bit though, isn't it? Maybe it's the export rate on here. Let's take these speed ups out and then tell it to export the tin again. Hopefully that will keep it at a sane speed. Metal chest can actually cope with without having complete conniptions. I'm kind of hoping there, just crossing my fingers. I have no evidence that that's what's going to happen. Not looking horrific anyway. Yet. Alright, here it comes. I seem to be coming through relatively slowly. One that's first in line is probably the least of them. That's looking okay. I haven't got a huge backlog in here. Okay, that might work very well on its own. Just having that export bus there was just pumping so much out that stuff out here couldn't keep up. Thing is, I can hold it in the ME system indefinitely. There's plenty of space for ingots to be stored in there. They can just come out in a little dribble and be dealt with. Looks like I can leave it unattended for 10 minutes. I mean, there's quite a bit coming out. But remember, those are single ingots. They're not stacks of ingots, which they were before, and that's what caused the problem. It does seem to be keeping up now. So they ain't super fast, but they'll keep up, and eventually, just through sheer persistence, they'll get the job done, I think. Alright, let's just go and check the stock level on the tin now. At least, hopefully, it's evening out a bit. Or not. It's just going up and up and up and up and up and up. And the thing is, at some point, I've got to actually check the other ones. Did I? don't seem to be getting exported. I think it's because I've got them set to, is it set to round robin? Yeah, it should just export what it's got. I don't know. I've got plenty of space in my ME system. Green lights are good, red are clearly bad. It's kind of in between. It's kind of going up at an alarming rate. But I can store up hundreds of thousands of them, so I don't think it's a particular issue. And I could do some manual blocking just to get it down a bit. And go and have a look at Rake's system and see whether we've cleared his backlog of ore, I think. Oh, stack at a time, please. See, this is what I mean about sometimes like crafting can be faster. I can like pretty much instantly make a stack of 64, whereas obviously the metal chests are much slower than that. If you look at the blocks of tin now going through the roof. But whatever's in blocks gets exported back out again and gets turned into singularities. And hopefully there my problems end. Don't have to worry about them anymore. That's from 40,000 to 33,000. That. Let's go and have a look at Rake's end of things, because I'm hoping that his quarry just simply isn't producing so many that I just can't keep up. Let's see. Tin. Oh my god, Rake, did you have to? He's producing way more than I can cope with. I think I need to slow his quarry down a bit. That's the only solution. I'm like 2 million tin already. And you saw when he was setting up the tin mine, that's only been a couple of hours, so which one is it? This one, tin ore. Yeah, look, he's got a maximum speed upgrade. Oh my god. Wonder I can't cope with it. Just take that off there. Phew. Right, I'm going to go and check the other ones that he's set up to make sure he hasn't done the same thing. I ain't ever going to catch up with that kind of rate of production. Copper. New one as well. He's just doing that with a regular Buildcraft quarry. That shouldn't be too much of a headache to keep up with. I don't think I'm in this tin yet. Silver, I think was the other one. Choose this one here. Where's he hidden his quarry? Actually done one. Maybe he hasn't. It's just tin that he'd done. In which case, hopefully that's part of the problem. Like I said, he's a bit of a troll. He does that kind of thing just to freak me out. Right, that's it. At least it's not. At least it's, the number's going down now rather than going up consistently. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Okay, so there's an awful lot to be done. Jesus Christ, this man just stocks stuff up like crazy. But at least now I'm processing it faster than he's producing it, which is what I wanted. I'll chuck his, just stick it to something. Some people, they just want to see the world burn. Right, he's not dealing with that at all. He's sending it on to me. That's good. I can live with that. As long as that number is going down. But I think I'm definitely going to have to invest in some cyclic assemblers to make those tin ingots into blocks. Crazy times. Right, let's see if my tin is going down. No, it's still going up. Oh, good grief. And at an alarming rate. Oh, God. Oh, dear. So in fact, let's just going to have a look down here what's being processed. Well, these guys are keeping up now. And presumably these guys are too. Yeah, they've cleared out that box there, which was full earlier. So it is just turning the blocks into ingots, the ingots into blocks that's taking. I need to have a think about how to do that then. Let's grab a cyclic assembler, of which I have many, and excuse me, burpee there. An example of what I want to turn into a recipe, and this thing here, not that thing there, it's kind of similar to it. So, oh, there it is. Oh. Right, so take a blank recipe, stick it in there, stick that in there, and that's how you make a block of tin. Write the schematic and 9 ingots of tin, do that. Right. Go back to the other factory. And now I can I've got space here. Do I need that there anymore? It had in it. Done. I had a few million nether ore in there. Right, so unconfigure these on the sides because that's not stuff to go. Tell it what it makes. Let's check how it's configured. So it goes out the back, in on the top. To blank. That goes insert. Actually, it shouldn't do it at all because I don't have I need filter in. So that's in the appropriate materials. Luckily, I have a filter. Oh, that was a bad idea. Oh, oh. Click, click. Be facing the side that's valid. Come on. Action. Yeah, please. Good. Come back. Why is it not showing up? Oh, I actually bloody turned the thing around, didn't I? Not what this thing's making. This needs aluminium to come in here. Have a filter for thing. This other filter. Insert. Next. This one. That on there. Doesn't set to insert. Insert only tin ingots. And right to say tin ingots come out this filter here. Grey side, blue side, free. If I have any sides. Okay, so I should start filling this machine up here. To knock this out so it's not tin ingots anymore. That one there, right. Should keep on coming down here then. Here they come. Tin ingots. To this machine. Yep. Tin there. Just make sure that this is actually extracting. It's active. I think that's working now. There's no tin coming through here. Good. Let's try and screw it all up then by speeding up that export. Restoring its previous speed. Rather than just holding all the tin ingots. It's that one, wasn't it? Yes. Right. And now it's going up to speed again. I'll probably do some of those white tin ingots as well. The filtering. Right, that number's going down. Merry hell though. We shall see. I suppose it's okay for one of the tin ingots to be processed by this system here, if they come through. Told them to, they should be coming through here. Why are they not going out that way? Oh. A lot of tin coming in here, 32 at a time. As you can see, this thing is having no difficulty keeping up with that, which is perfect. Okay. I'm not quite sure where the white ones are going though. They're just carrying on down there. Should be coming through here. Why are they not? It's definitely an example. Not sure why they're bypassing going in there. Something's going through there. Trouble is, these filters here are not sensitive about which type. That must be silver that's coming through, surely. Let's just sit here. It's a while for some to come through and see what it is. It's being processed. Come on. See, the white ingots are just bypassing. They should. Okay, let's Specifically, you've got to take one of these. Better. Right. Now all the ingots are coming in here. And apparently they're just disappearing. That's worrying. It's filling up in here. No, something's taking them out. God knows where they're going. It's worrying. Put that in there as well to make sure that the right ones are going in there. As you can see, I just crafts the blocks so fast you can't even see them going through. They are. I'm rather worried about where those other tin ingots ended up though. These fires, peridot, stone, lapis. Wow. Aha. Right, so this one here, not to have a filter on it. Tell it to only take in what's required. So you are making aluminium ingots. Should only be accepting aluminium. You have no filter at all on. Oh, hang on. Was that the one that I broke? What? Ah, it's because I put the filter in the wrong side. Always got to remember that the correct. I can see that stuff through. Insert only aluminium in here. Take out everything else, which is not supposed to be here. Stay. Why are you not taking tin? You should be taking. Is it because that is just not fast enough? That's got maximum speed up, extract. It's trying to keep up. And it's almost fast enough. Not quite. I don't think I can make it go any faster. That is as fast as it goes. This is just a case of being patient and make sure it's being fed until it's caught up. Silver in that. It looks like it'll kind of fix itself. It just needs to get through this backlog. It's just that that flange there is just not quite fast enough to get out that's required. Oh my god, the cyclic assembler has no problem in crafting the rate of insertion. And it's taking a stack at a time, more than a stack of coming in. Silver get in there. Okay, so that export is still too fast. Let's just slow that down then. They're taking both of the speed cards out. I'm just going to take one of them out, and hopefully that should reduce it because it should only be exporting half a stack at a time rather than a stack. Which is clearly just a little bit too much. Oh, it's in my factory now. Hello, let me go up. It'll take a little while for that adjustment to take hold. That back in there manually. Yeah, there we go. It was a little bit too fast. So it's supposed to be in that chest back in there. Let's put some of this garbage that I'm carrying with me into the toolbox. It's not garbage. It's not stuff that I strictly. Okay, that's a bit more sensible. And it's being dealt with nicely. Okay. Suppose the next one is to do a similar thing with the iron, though that doesn't seem to be quite so much problems. That's okay though, that's kind of stabilized. So it looks like I'm going to have to do a whole bunch of cyclic assemblers here for dealing with all the different metals that were previously being dealt with by those. Gold, not a problem, because the way we're mining gold, it comes as blocks already, so we're just stuffing that directly into the neutronium compressors already. I've got some other bits and pieces though. Copper's definitely going to be one of the next ones. Lead, we're not mining that yet, but I've got a world set up for it. Rake had 1.6 million tin, so I need to check that figure's now at least been significantly reduced, since he's not mining it like a crazy thing anymore. I'm sure he's just like trying to test me and see how much I could deal with. Is the number going down? The last couple of... Yes. Okay, so I'm dealing with the ore faster than he can produce it. And that's still going to take a while to clear that down, that's faux show. So I'm refining faster than he's mining, but am I blocking faster than I'm refining tin? Yes, I am. It's quite taken a big chunk out of that, pretty much. The other tin type has disappeared completely. Okay, so the tin is under control, which is pretty insane. That took quite some effort, but it was fun. I mean, that's half the fun of the game. Oh, actually making these systems work. So I'm pretty pleased about that. We've gone from 44,000 down to 12,000 in probably under 20 minutes. Definitely an improvement anyway, and that number is going down very fast compared to. So definitely we're going to be out refining and producing tin faster than Rake's doing it. Now we have to look at the final step of the equation, which is hopefully we are now producing singularities of tin at a reasonable rate. So let us see. Luckily it takes 14,000 blocks of tin to make a single tin singularity. So I can't see any possible way. Of course, where's the tin one? Yeah, here we go. And this is the final output after all that shenanigans has been through. Doesn't look like very much, a very slowly incrementing number. But that's kind of the point of Avaritia. Insane recipes require insane materials. So those like 1.6 million tin ore that Rake has there, it's probably not going to produce more than a handful of singularities, to be honest with you. I suppose I could work it out backwards. Let me get my calculator up. Let's see exactly how many ore that takes to produce one of those chaps. Okay, so one singularity needs 14,000 tin blocks. Each tin block needs 9 tin ingots. Hang on a second. That's wrong. Done a bad. Sorry. 14,100 times 9. It requires 126 ingots. And the way I'm processing them, I get 2 ingots from an ore, so divide that by 2. So 63,500. 1.6 million divided by 4,000. So it's only going to make 250 singularities. All of that tin that he has. Not very many, is it, considering 1.6 million ore turns into 250 singularities. I'm not exactly slow about producing them. We're getting 2, maybe 3 a second. And remember, each of those takes 9 ingots, so that requires 4 ore. But even so, the recipes that we're making, I think it was the breastplate I was taking as my kind of gold standard. I think that needs 470 infinity catalysts. So an infinity catalyst requires 14,000, 28,000, 56,000 approximately, 100,000, 128,000 of each of all the ingots to make those singularities alone, let alone all this other crazy stuff. Some of this is not so crazy actually. Those aren't too bad to make. Those are insane to make. You have to fill this entire grid up with food. Those, while they need a lot of materials, you can kind of scum it a bit by just making a cobblestone generator and using that to feed into a singularity maker from applied energistics. So even though it theoretically takes a lot of materials, it's not a problem to actually produce those materials. It certainly isn't like what you've just seen me do with that tin, which is we have to mine the tin and then refine the tin with a massive bank of pulverizers and furnaces and then block it all up and then store it away into singularities. That thing there only actually requires like 1 step of production effectively, well maybe 2 I suppose if you include the actual compressor itself. But realistically, as long as you can just produce infinite amounts of cobble, which is not a terribly hard thing with any of the mod packs, to be honest with you. Sure is making his. It used to be hidden right here. It is. So let's have a look in there. Not as the case, maybe is it something? Okay. He's changed his security permissions on some of the systems, so I can't actually see what's in there. But yeah, where you can see this is his cobblestone generator, and it is producing huge amounts. I've got some PC kind of incoming or something. It looks like the server's a bit ill. But yeah, each one of these things here is producing 64 cobblestone like every 10th of a second. So there really isn't. Oh, he's turned it off for the time being. But when this is actually going, like he's outputting a singularity like every minute or so. So that's really pretty easy stuff compared to what we've just been through with the 10. But it's all fun because, like, once you get to this point where you've just got immense structures going and the lag is slowly catching up with me. This kind of stuff is kind of tricky, and it's the next stage on from producing millions of RF using all these turbines and whatnot that we've got here. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching me get some Avaritia, or however it's pronounced, working, and I'm sure you'll get to see more of it because we certainly have got a lot more singularities to build and a lot more stuff to mine. But hopefully we will be making that breastplate at some point in the future. Oh lordy. Thing is, we've got to make 2 sets. We've got to have all of the bits of the... Let's just have a look at what... So we've got to make two of those, 2 of those, 2 of those, and 2 of those. 1 for me and 1 for Rake each. Good night, people. And I hope I see you again for the next stream. Check it out.